Hey guys, today's video, I'm going to be mixing some metal drums. Basically, come along for the ride, check it out, and see if you can pick up a thing or two along the way. A couple of things worth pointing out before we get started. These next few steps I've already done, but I have tutorials on all these things that you can go check out in my other videos. I've already set up my session for mixing. I have all the drum tracks routed and bussed to the places I want them to go and ready to be mixed. I've already phase aligned my drums so they're sounding nice and solid and punchy, and I've already flex timed and quantized these drums. I have also already added kick and snare and tom samples to my drums to later on reinforce my drum sounds. As I said before, you can go check out my other videos on tutorials on how to do those steps. All right, let's dive into it. Okay, to start with, before I do anything, I'm gonna put the Slate VMR on my drum bus. And I'm basically gonna use this as a bit of a trimmer. I'll probably just turn this down 3 dB to start with. Just as I start bringing all the drum channels into it, it's gonna get loud and we don't wanna overload it. So let's just do a little trim to start with. And I have VCC that loads up automatically, so I'm just gonna leave that there. Okay, first things first, let's check out the kick. Okay, to start with, I'm gonna gate this. Gonna use the expander in the BX SSL channel strip. Fast attack, pretty fast release here. Okay, it's already pretty clicky and punchy. I think what I'd like to hear is a little bit more air on the top end of this kick. I'm gonna reach for VMR and maybe use revival. Add a little bit of air in there. And a bit of compression to follow that up. Let's go to VCA compressor. Nice and punchy. Let's go like a 3:1 ratio. Okay, it's sounding all right to start with. Let's grab an EQ. Might chuck this before the compressor. Cut some low mids around 200 Hertz, boxy kind of stuff. Maybe do a little boost around 60. Ease this threshold off a bit. Not really liking that. Okay, I'm just getting a lot of click out of the kick to start with. We might come back to this later and want to change it, but just gonna get it slapping to start with. Might add a little bit of distortion, saturation to this. Let's go the New York one. Chuck it at the end of the chain and see how this sounds. Just gonna grab the kick tube bite preset and then fiddle this. Pull that mix back a little bit. Put a little bit of that 6K out. Just leave that for now to start with. Let's pull up our kick trigger. Okay, pretty roomy at the moment. But a little bit of room sound might be good. I don't think I'm going to do too much to this. Might just chuck VMR on it as well. Just do some light compression to it. Okay, let's just leave that there for now. Let's go the kick out mic and check that one out. Might expand this as well. Just a little bit. I think I mainly want to get a little bit of subbiness out of this mic, so I'm going to boost the low end kind of generously here. Around 50 hertz. And I'm going to shelf this top end down a bit. There's a bit of dirty pillowiness around here, mid-range. Okay, sounding a bit more sub-kicky-ish now. Blend that in a little bit. Okay, let's just leave our kick like that for now. Let's bring up our snare. Okay. Start with, just deal with a little bit of cymbal bleed. So loading up Pro MB and snare bleed. Just doing some expanding on the high frequencies here. So I have a video about snare bleed suppression, so go check that out if you want to know how I'm doing this. All right, that's dealing with a bit of the bleed nicely. All right. Now let's add a little bit of airy top end. Bit of shelf. Might gate this a little bit or expand it a little bit. Don't want to drop it away heaps, just a little bit. That'll help with the bleed a bit too. A little bit of compression here. Let's use VMR again. Gonna add some more top end to this. There we go. There we go. Just scooping it up a little bit. Maybe some API kind of EQ here. Cut a little bit of that low mid muddiness. Let's try the distressor. A little bit of distortion on it. We can be a little bit more aggressive on this now. Okay. Might chuck some decapitator on this as well. Kind of rounds out the top end a bit. Let's go with that for now. And I'm just going to chuck a clipper on the end just to deal with any stray peaks here. This is some cheap clipper that I got for free on Plugin Boutique, I think. It does the job. I have other clippers, but it's easy to use. That's sounding okay for now. Let's pull up our snare trigger. So we're getting a lot of our nice big roomy sound out of the trigger. Sounds pretty cool. Just put VMR on, maybe a little bit of compression on it. Pretty happy with how that sample sounds, so I'm not going to do too much to it yet. Alright, sounding pretty cool. Let's just bring these levels down a little bit. Okay, snare bottom. Around there sounds pretty cool. Let's chuck VMR on it. Just do a little bit of EQ here. A little bit of top end sizzle. Adding some 12K there. Take out a bit of this mid-rangey grossness, 600 Hertz. Add a touch of low end body back in. And I'm going to compress this with a bit of an 1176 compressor here. Pull the mix back a bit. All right, let's go with that for now. Might add a little bit of top end to that snare sample. Just go with the SSL. I'm going to do it after the compression. And people are always like, do you EQ before compression or after compression? And the answer is both. Just do whatever sounds good. There's not one way to do it. Really not worth arguing over. It's definitely worthwhile making sure your sounds are good before they hit a compressor. You don't want something that's really muddy hitting a compressor and then you try and fix it afterwards. Just make sure your sounds are good, and then when you compress them, it's not going to be an issue. So if you need to do some corrective EQ before compressing, that's great. And then sometimes you might need to boost something after compression because the compressor is taking away maybe some high-end frequencies, or it's kind of stifling the low end and making it too bright. You might need to boost the low end post compressor. There we go. That's what I wanted to hear, a little bit more snap on the top end of that snare. Okay, I'm thinking even on the kick, maybe on the sample we'll bring in some more clickiness. Do a similar thing. Let's grab a SSL EQ after the kick triggers compression. Just a bit of a shelf. I'm just bringing this up till it's like sounds terrible, and then I'm going to bring it back down until my ears accept it. Somewhere around there, starting to sound good to me. Our ears are tricky things because we get used to how things sound. So something might seem bright, but it's not. And once we boost something to sound really bright and we bring it back down, we actually find that we accept it at a more in-between level than before, if that makes sense. But whatever we're listening to, it doesn't take long for our ears to adjust to it and assume that that's how it should sound. All right, this is sounding pretty cool. I'll turn this snare bottom down a little bit. Sounding good. All right, let's bring in our overheads. Now let's hard pan these left and right, overhead left, overhead right, and bring these up. Kind of around there, sounding good at the moment. Now our close mics, hats, let's just pan these to the left a bit, the ride to the right. China was on our right and the splash was on our left. So something like that, a little bit of panning to each of these cymbals. And then I'm just going to bring these up just a little bit. Now with these spot mics, usually I'll just automate them in a little bit more if I feel like the overheads are not delivering enough of what I want to hear. I don't really want these loud consistently all through the mix. The more mics you have, the more phasey issues you can come across, and we can just bring these in and out as we need. If there's a little splash, we can just automate the splash and bring that in for that little moment and then turn it back down. Okay, I think that's sounding all right for the overheads as far as levels go. Let's muck around with processing these cymbals. Okay, you can hear that kind of build up in that low end, low mids, mid-rangey stuff. It's not too pretty. Let's just turn that down. My ears are liking it around here somewhere. Going for a wide bell. Just kind of tonally shaping these overheads in the mid-range here. Just a big wide bell at about 666 hertz. Oh dear. No wonder it's an evil frequency. Sometimes I like to high pass the overheads. Sometimes I just prefer to low shelf cut some stuff. So let's just put a low shelf down here around 50 hertz and just drop this down. And we don't need a lot of the kick low end in the overheads, especially in metal stuff. We just want to keep the low end really clean. And so our close kick mics can be really powerful. Okay, kind of liking that. We get rid of some of this 2K-ish, 3K resonancy stuff in the cymbals. Kind of want the cymbals to be shiny and airy, I guess. Give it a little boost around 14K. Bring out that sparkle in the cymbals. Okay, so we're really thinning it out here, but it's not going to matter too much because when we bring back the close mics, it'll make sense. Let's compress this a little bit. Not a lot. I don't like overheads overly compressed. Okay. Let's see how that sounds. Okay. Sometimes it's cool to just close your eyes and lift a fader up until it sounds good and you don't look at what you're doing. Kind of liking it around there at the moment. I'm just going to put a EQ after this. Yeah, just this kind of stuff here is annoying me. Okay, little cut around 6K. All right, this is starting to sound like something. Let's have a look at our room mics. All right, bit of trash going on here. So left and right, I've got a stereo ribbon mic here. Nice and fat, what you'd expect from ribbon mics. And we've got a hallway mic here. I'm just gonna mix these together. Gonna phase flip this and see what it sounds like. I actually like that phase flip. All right. Now, let's process these room mics. Again, I'm a big fan of just the SSL channel strip, whether you're using a Waves one, the actual SSL brand one, or BX from Plugin Alliance. Just, they work well and they're just user-friendly. So, yeah. Going to take out a bit of this mid-rangey stuff. Got a fair bit of low end going on here. It sounds sick, but in the mix it's going to be a bit much. Pull that back a little bit. It just boosts a high shelf around 7K. Just trying to get an overall, I guess, image of the kit here, a bit of space. Yeah, let's compress this a little bit. Maybe a fast compressor, but a slow release. 5:1 sounds kind of cool. I'm not going to link these. I'm going to let it be a little bit crazy. Yeah, I'm digging that. We might chuck on the EASYCORE de-esser. There's a cool little presetting in here for overheads, auto high compression. So this just kind of like compresses the high frequencies, and you can just play with the dry wet knob here to bring in the amount of compression you want. Something like that sounds good to me, about 66%. It still might be a bit too much low end in this, but we will just leave it for now. I'm going to add a little bit of reverb to these room mics as well. I'm a big fan of this reverb. I have a bunch of reverbs, but I find the LX480 Essentials, it's just so friendly, so easy to use, so easy to get a good sound out of and not have to muck around for ages. Go for a shorter kind of reverb on a plate here. Cut a little bit of that low end out. Cymbal harshness going on here that I'm not liking. And that low end still thundering through. It might be all right. Let's just leave it. I'm going to maybe put the reverb before our channel strip. I don't know. I'm going to see what it sounds like. So we're compressing the room. Ooh, that's sounding cool. Yeah. All right, let's turn that down and then let's blend it in with our drums here. That sounds sick. Maybe somewhere around there. All right. Toms. Let's go back to our toms. I generally seem to do toms last for some reason. And I've already cut the tom bleed out manually, so you can find a video on that as well on my page. So go check that out. And it just saves a bit of time with gating and mucking around with trying to get the perfect settings going. Yeah, let's see what we can get out of this. I feel like I need a little bit more attack on this. I might even grab a transient designer to start with. Let's get the Plugin Alliance SPL Transient Designer Plus. So I'm going to try and add some attack to this. Yes. Cool, that's sounding pretty good. What if we bring the sustain down? Yeah, might just leave it on 0. With that extra bit of attack sounding nice. Okay, now let's boost a little bit of top end. Just going to go with shelf. Okay. Yep. Now let's cut a little bit of yes. No. Around there. Okay, just cleaning up that mid-range. I want these toms kind of scoopy. As with a lot of metal drums, it is a little bit scoopy all around. Okay, it's sounding all right. A little bit of cymbal bleed action going on. So let's go the Pro MB again. Going to use the same kind of snare bleed setting I have. Yeah, something like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to put a limiter on the end of this. Maybe like L2, just to squish it down a bit. Just a couple of dB like that. Let's go with that for now. Let's pull up Tom 1 trigger. And let's pan these to the left a little bit. Okay. Now, this has a bit of roominess to it, which is good because it's what we need to just make these sound a bit bigger. But let's do a simple thing. Let's add some top end. Okay, it's kind of cool. Cut some mid-rangey stuff. Boost a little bit of low end. Focus in on the top end a little bit somewhere. Yeah, maybe around there. Really had to shape this sample. Bit of compression. Too much. Just a little tap. Cool. Feel like our sample might need to be tuned down a little bit extra here. Did try to match this up before, but still not sounding quite there. That's better. There we go. Let's look at our tom 2, floor tom. Pan this guy off to the right a little bit, drummer's perspective. Okay, let's dial this in. I'm sorry if this is a little bit boring at times. Basically, when I'm mixing something, I take my time. I just want to make it sound good. Generally not rushing or giving myself a time limit. Like, I'm not going to spend all day on something, but it's good to not just be like, okay, I have to mix this in 1 minute, go. No, you got to take your time, find the right frequencies, fiddle around until it's right, move on to the next thing. Don't spend forever on it, of course. All right, let's do this. Get rid of some of that low mid junk. Yuck, boxy stuff. Already sounds heaps better. Little boost on the low end. We've got a bit of low end information going on there already. Kind of feel like this needs some 2K in there. Let's have a listen to some other hits. Yeah, but that one doesn't sound like it needs 2K, does it? Okay. I think we can cut a little bit of that. Okay, a bit of compression. Faster release. Okay, we might do the same thing, put this transient designer before it. That's a bit better. Getting some attack on there. Bring the level down a bit. Yeah, okay, we're getting somewhere. Copy this bleed stuff over. Okay. The mid-range is just a bit honky on this. Limiter on the end. Okay, we can probably boost the level up on this a little bit. All right, let's play around with this floor tom sample. I'm just going to copy paste these EQ settings over and see how it goes. It's not too bad. Okay. See how this sounds. Let's compare our levels on these samples. Fairly similar, which is good. Let's just bring all of this stuff down a little bit. Bring our samples down a touch. Yeah. They're just there to reinforce. The other thing I might do real quick is just expand these toms a little bit. Just make their fades out a bit smoother. Something like that. Floor tom. Do a similar thing. Now on my kick bus here, so I've got all my kicks going to this send. Kick sum, I'm just gonna do a little bit of EQ. Let's just grab Pro Q3. Okay. Take some of this stuff out. get these levels a bit better. Okay, now I'm gonna bring in some parallel compression on the drums. So I've got my drum buses here, so kicks, snares, toms, cymbals, and room. And let's just turn these up all the way. So I've just held down Option and clicked on that. Now that's all being sent to our crush bus here. Now I'm going to turn down the cymbals and the rooms a fair amount because I don't want heaps of that in there. And more so the cymbals. Leave a little bit more room than cymbals in there. I'm going to go for 1176 vibes on this one. Just really going for a big parallel compression here. I do like the AE 1176 compressor. This one that seems to go really good at getting some big crunchy drums. Gonna go a slow attack, let the transient through. Fast release for the sustain. Really sending it with this one. All right, turn that down. Let's blend this in. Oh yeah. That's sounding sick. Now let's chuck a limiter on our drum bus. I'm just gonna catch the stray peaks here. I like the L3 LL Ultra Maximizer. Okay, I'm even gonna put a little bit of compression on the drum bus. Just gonna massage this a little bit. Big fan of the Slate FG Grey, just an SSL style compressor here. All right, this is sounding pretty cool. It's getting pretty aggressive. So fairly medium fast attack. Just gonna clamp down on these drums a little bit. Fairly fast release. Not the fastest, but just back a tiny bit. And a 3:1 ratio. Kind of just playing with the high pass filter to not compress the kick too hard. We're only getting a couple of dBs of gain reduction here. You know, we could push it harder, but we've got the parallel compression running already and it just doesn't sound like it needs to be compressed a lot. Let's kind of pull up some guitars around this and see how it's sounding. It's sounding pretty good. I mean, I would definitely like to take these off and hear it out the monitors, but it makes it hard with the microphone and all that. But as far as the headphone mix goes at the moment, I'm feeling like this is starting to sound pretty cool. We're already getting a lot of ambience from the snare sample, but let's get a little bit of reverb going on our snare mic. Set up a little send here, snare, reverb. I'm just going to put this into my drum bus as well. Now let's use the, look, let's mix it up. Let's use a different reverb. I was going to say the Essentials. It does have some good snare presets in there, but let's go with our Valhalla Vintage Verb. There are some pretty cool snare reverb settings in here. Now let's go active snare. This one goes pretty good. A bright kind of sound. Now I've got that being sent to the parallel compression as well. So it's coming in hot, and I'm just going to bring down the fader here and just blend it in to where I think it sounds good. So now I feel like I could bring back a little bit more of that room sound on the kick. It was bothering me before, but maybe we can get a bit more of that in here now. Cool, it sounded pretty good. I kind of want to take a little bit of that tickiness out of the kick as well. Which we added on the sample. So let's just pull that back a little bit. This is sounding pretty cool. Okay, and if we wanted to, we could put a little bit of reverb on our whole drum kit here, just a touch, just to put it in a space. So I'm gonna send our drums to a reverb, and let's just mix it up. Yes, let's use Verb Suite Classic. Or maybe a room. Take a little bit of low end out of the reverb. This sounds pretty good. Let's see if we can take it a step further. Let's put some decapitator, a bit of saturation on the drum bass, just a teeny touch. Let's see if it adds anything good to it. Now the A mode is adding like some sparkly top end. And the N mode rounds it out. I feel like I like the N mode at the moment. I'm pretty happy with that for now. And if I was mixing this and, you know, some big halftime sections, maybe I'd automate in a little bit of big reverb to the snare, or to the whole drum kit as a whole. Might add some bigger space to it. Maybe do some like reverse effects for that whole fun metal reverse snare bomb stuff. Check out my video on that as well. But yeah, I feel like we've kind of dialed this in. It's sounding pretty good for now. And as you're mixing a song, you always come back and you do little tweaks as you go. But I feel like that's a good start for like a big, thick, punchy metal rock drum sound. I'm also listening just on headphones here, so once I take these off and listen through the monitors, I'll probably want to change stuff. But I feel like the DT 770s are they're really good. They translate well. I had to check that I said that the right thing. 770, that's correct. Yeah, I feel like these translate really well. They are a good set of headphones and they're not overhyped in any way. So they do feel honest when you're mixing on them. Okay, well, I think that's kind of it. I think I'm done with that for now. One thing I should mention is I use Trigger 2 for my drum samples. And I think I was using like a kick sample from Get Good Drums and a snare sample I'm pretty sure is a Chris Lord-Ouge one from the Steven Slade expansions. So yeah, the toms, I think I took them from like a periphery thing. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag of samples here. But I'm mainly using the samples to reinforce my actual mics. I'm not replacing the sounds. They're there for reinforcement and to make these drums sound bigger than they are. Because you just can't make drums sound ridiculously larger than life without using samples. Yes, you can get some great drum mixes without samples, but to get that modern, larger than life sound, you can't do it unless you blend samples in. And I know there's people out there who will just roll over in their graves hearing me talk about you have to use samples to get a big drum sound. You kind of do, to an extent. I'm not saying you can't get a good drum sound without samples, but for that modern sound, you need it. Because yeah, if you have a look at the levels here, my kick mic is louder than the sample. Snare mic is louder than the snare sample. My toms are louder than the tom samples. I'm just using them for reinforcement. And especially adding room and ambient sound, yeah, it just helps a lot. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed watching. I know it was kind of a long video, this one, but that's sometimes what it takes when you want to take a little bit of time to get a good sound. Even though I mix drums and I do this stuff all the time, I don't just slap presets on. I listen to what I'm using and I try and get the best sound out of it as I go. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what you thought. If you learned any tips or tricks along the way in this one, let me know. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.